technical difficulties, everybody, but we are here, we are excited, and we have episode 4 of Launch Radio, Geoff and Kira, and we are here today with Matt Tilley, the British Bloke.
Yes. Not Australian, British.
It's British.
Yes.
It is British.
By the way, I'm so sorry that I'm taller than everyone else.
Hey, we usually feel.
Yeah, not that I'm like towering over the guys. It's just ran out of chairs, so I'm on this enormously tall stool. But we're very excited.
You're the boss.
Yeah.
We get it.
But we're very excited to have Matt, and I'll have Geoff kind of go through his, intro.
A little bit of intro on Matt Tilley, the British Bloke. First of all, let me tell you a little bit about it. British Bloke is powered by the First Team Real Estate. It is the #1 in Southern California, 16 years in a row. A little bit more about Matt. In 2008, he made the move from London to Southern California and jumped into the world of marketing. After several years working with some of the largest companies in the U.S. and being accepted into Harvard's executive business program, Matt decided to turn his talents to his true passion, real estate. It all started in 2014 when he purchased his first rental property, and since then, his love for real estate has flourished.
Sure has.
Now, I had to get Matt on here because, first of all, he's a close friend of mine, and we met several years back at Sundance. Actually, through some friends, and he started the British Bloke, went to real estate, got with his company First Team Real Estate, and he's really starting to take off now with his brand. And you want to tell us a little bit about how you got into real estate?
Sure.
And what brought it on?
Yeah, sure. So, it's been a bit of a crazy year, to be honest. So I bought a house last year in Long Beach, moved to Long Beach in October, planning for a wedding in April this year. And I was working in marketing, a job I'd had for 9 years. Everything was going pretty well. Got offered another job. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this other job. I was kind of getting stuck in the same job, and I wanted a new change of direction and try something new. So quit my other job. I was about to start my new job, and their company sold, and all of a sudden I was unemployed, had no job. Just bought a house, about to get married, and I was like, what's going on? So I started interviewing for other jobs, similar position, marketing in like the food and beverage space. And I don't know, every interview I went to was kind of, I didn't like it, didn't like the vibe, was having to go for jobs that I thought were a little bit less than what I'd already had. So I started to look, we always wanted to work for ourselves. The dream is to work for yourself, have your own company. Yeah. But, I hear the word entrepreneur all the time, and I've always wanted to do that. So I started to look for jobs where I could create my own business, but not have to pump in 20, 30, 40 grand to start this company. And I stumbled on real estate, and I've always loved real estate, and I have friends who do it, but I never really considered it myself. So I started to do more research. The barrier to entry is pretty low, which is why there's so many terrible real estate agents out there, which is why we have a really bad reputation, because pretty much anyone can get in. But what I love about real estate is I'm not joining. You have to have a broker for insurance reasons, but I'm not joining a team, anything like that. I'm literally doing it on my own.
Wow.
And the ceiling, there's just no ceiling. I love the idea of whatever you put into it. What you put into it is what you get out of it.
Yeah.
You don't have a boss. It's so weird waking up every day and not having emails. That's a scary thing. I used to wake up in the morning and I'd have work to do. Now I don't, right? It's pretty scary. But on the other hand, it's liberating, and I just, the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it.
You make your own work. You generate everything yourself.
You really do. Yeah.
And that's the new era, really, in everything, right? Is real estate going that way? Like, people have their own. Are they doing how you're doing with putting on social media and kind of talking about housing on there? Is that the new thing? Or?
Yeah, we're being told now when we go to our team meetings that social media now, if you're not on social media, you're going to be dead in 10 years.
In real estate?
In real estate, maybe in 5 years. So all the older agents who aren't used to... So we have agents who aren't even on Facebook or YouTube, and they're being told that you have to get on it. And they're okay. They've been doing it 20 years, so they're getting referrals and things like that. But for new agents now coming in, you've got all the millennials. Everyone's searching these days. Everything's online.
Yeah.
People aren't going into a brick and mortar real estate company and saying, hey, I want you to help me find a house.
Right.
You're on Zillow, you're on Redfin, so you need to have a presence. So that's why I'm doing YouTube, Facebook. It's just it's any job these days.
So when you decided to build your brand, what was was it an extension of yourself, or did you see where the market was going? You're like, you know what, there's a niche that I could get into. You know?
Yeah, well, I have to use. You have to use what you have, right?
Yeah.
Really, the best brand. You know, when you're building a brand, it has to encompass who you are. So being British, what I find is when you're looking for houses, it's always people's names. And I don't know about you, but I'm terrible at remembering names.
Yeah.
So I'll drive past a for sale sign and it'll have someone's name, Geoff Pilkington, and then 5 minutes down the road, I'm like, I can't even remember who that guy's name is. So I started to think, how can I be more memorable? And people used to always call me, oh, you're the British bloke at school. They couldn't remember my name, but he's the British guy. The British guy. Oh, what's his name? I don't know, but he's the British guy. So I started thinking, you know what? People will remember the British guy. So I go online to buy the British guy, but the URL's gone. It's not, it doesn't exist, right? Or it's like $5,000 or something, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so what's an English word for guy? Bloke. A lot of people don't know what the word bloke means. Bloke is an English word for guy. Like in America, you're a guy. In England, you're a bloke. So I just used British bloke, and I started using it, and people started liking it.
It's great.
So I was like, okay.
Yeah, it rolls off the tongue. It's
So then
catchy,
I called First Team, because you have to have your name on your board, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, can I use British bloke? It's not my name. And they're like, yeah, we'll just put your name in really small print at the bottom. But we'll have British bloke. So I've just gone with it, really.
Wow.
Well,
So-
from a branding perspective, British bloke is 1,000 times better than British guy.
British guy. Even though people
Yeah.
will know what British guy means, like often people say, what's a bloke?
It
Really?
stands
Yeah.
out more. Bloke stands
So-
out.
Surprised people don't know.
Yeah, so I think everything, I just went with it, branding, because like I said, I work for myself now. What's my company?
Mm.
So hopefully if people type in the British bloke, they'll find me on YouTube and all that good stuff. So
Now, do you
That's
have
how
a
it started.
team that helps in terms of like keeping up with the social media? Because it's like you have to take hours out of the day just to make sure that you're on top of the game. Like, it's good to have an account, however.
yeah,
you know?
I don't. Yeah, I have my First Team social media that they take care of, but for me specifically, I'm trying not to get, because it's really easy to get. When I was starting this business, I obviously to start a business you need motivation.
Right.
Motivation is key, but everyone has motivation. Motivation is an emotion. Motivation is not actually going to get you anywhere. It can start like the process. So I was like, okay, I'm motivated to start a company. It didn't have to be real estate. I didn't say I want to go and be a real estate agent. That's my dream. I wanted to start a company where I can make a lot of money and work for myself, and that happened. And real estate happens to be that, right?
That's interesting.
So that was my motivation, and that's how I got into real estate. So then I said to myself, all right, well, motivation's not going to get me anywhere. There's a million motivated people in Hollywood, right? But they're all starving. So I was like, okay, well, what the hell am I have? So I started reading books, and I started to read, the first thing you need to invest in as an entrepreneur is yourself. People get these fancy websites, and they get this, and they're like, look at my cool whatever. That's all great, but it's not going to get you anywhere. So it's like, invest in yourself. So I joined a mentorship program. And then through that, I realized that you need discipline. Because discipline is the action from motivation that keeps you going. For example, we've got New Year's resolutions coming up, right? Everyone's going to be motivated. They're going to lose weight. I'm going to join the gym. I'm going to quit smoking. And they're going to start. But guess what? Come March, 95% of people have quit their New Year's resolution because they don't have the discipline.
Then there's no accountability.
Right,
You know what I mean? Like, no one's holding you accountable and saying, hey,
Right, exactly.
it's the end of January.
That's-
you haven't lost your 5 pounds.
Right, exactly. That's why I set myself commitments and not goals.
Uh,
Because it's really easy to break a goal, right? Because it doesn't seem as important. Like, okay, say someone wants to lose 15 pounds, right? And they'll lose 10 pounds. And they'll be like, oh, that's pretty good. I almost hit my goal. 10 pounds is good.
Yeah.
But if you make a commitment to yourself, it's more personal. And I feel as though if you can't hold yourself accountable, you're screwed, right? We can hold other people accountable all the time. Oh, they should have done this. But if you can't hold yourself accountable, so I make commitments. Like I door knock. Try and door knock 100 doors a day, right? Just knock on the door. Hello, I'm in your local area.
Yeah.
Sometimes I hit 70 doors. And I'm like, well, 70 is a good number. It's taking me 2.5 hours. I'm just going to take the rest of the day off.
Yeah.
And then I punish myself. I'm like, okay, for having that thought in your head, you're now going to have to do 110 doors. And then I keep going. So I find making a commitment.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I also think that there's something to that. You're definitely right as far as people are now starting to talk about what's called systems thinking versus goals thinking.
Yeah.
Goals thinking is like you have a goal, like you said, like whatever, someone wants to lose weight. That's a goal. They get there, and then it's like, then what? With a commitment, it's more of a systems level of thinking. So it's not just 170 doors. It's a commitment. It's a broader stroke of things, like over time. And that's people who think in systems understand that. And people, I think, especially in 2018, entrepreneurs and such, that's the way the world is going, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
with commitment and being that, you have to be that way.
Yeah, because if you're creating, if you have a goal, it's great to have a goal. But what are you going to do to reach that goal, right? And that's where the systems come in.
Right.
You have to track. You're never going to improve anything unless you track something, right?
Right.
So sportsmen, if you watch sportsmen when they're playing soccer, they under their shirt they have this vest on, which is literally tracking how far they run, calories they've burned. So then when they go back in, their trainers and their coaches can say, this is what you need to do to improve. And it's the same for us. We need to track. I track exactly how many calls I'm making, how many calls it takes for me to get a lead, how many leads it takes for me to get an appointment, how many appointments it takes to get business, right?
Yeah.
And the more you can track it, the more successful you're going to come. If you just say, oh, my goal is to be a millionaire, here I go, you're going to fail.
Right? It's a numbers game. It's like, okay, I have to do X amount of people, and that, there's an equation to it.
That's it. Like, people ask me what business you're in, I say I'm in the business of rejection, because I get rejected every day, right?
Yeah.
99% of the time, I'm rejected.
Yeah.
People don't want to sell that house, they don't want to work with me, whatever. So you've got to become mentally strong. There's 80 people in our office, only 3 of us cold call, because people do not, and only one of us door knocks.
Wow.
Because walking up to that door and knocking on that door is scary the first time you do it. They say the hardest door to get out of is your car door. Because you pull up to the house on the street and you're about to door knock, you're like,
yeah.
Shit, the unknown, right? The fear of the unknown. Wow. So that's why I've been reading these books, and fear doesn't exist, right? It's all here.
It's all systems.
Yeah.
Too.
And then once you've knocked on 1,000 doors, you've only had one bad experience.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then before you know it, you're like, well, this is great, and no one else is doing it. So I have people who drop flyers off at houses. I'm like, why don't you knock on? You've walked up to their door. Why don't you knock on it? Too scared. They're going to hate me. They're going to spit at me. They're going to kill me. And for some reason, we have all these crazy thoughts in our heads.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
our brain is constantly telling us not to do what we have to do for some reason. We always want to take the easy route, and that just doesn't get you anywhere.
Everybody wants, the easy route.
There's I am a Pilates instructor, and I like to tell my clients about the 40% rule that the Navy SEALs have, and it's you hit your, in our brain, we're like, oh my God, I don't have enough. I'm done.
Right.
I gotta quit.
Right.
But you've only hit 40%. Your brain tells you that you're done, which you actually can go a little bit more into the red zone. And that's how the Navy SEALs are able to sit and,
like
freeze. Temperature, because they can. It's all a mind game.
I believe it. I believe it. Our minds are so weak.
Yeah.
And we have to train them.
Yeah.
And that's what the best people do. Exactly the same thing. When I go running, I do the same 6 miles 3 times a week, right? And I know I can do it with my eyes closed. 8 out of 10 times, halfway through, my brain tells me, you should just stop. And my body's like, this is easy.
Yeah.
But my brain is saying, why don't you stop? It's a nice day. Why don't you look at the tree or whatever? So then I say to myself, like I do with door knocking, right, I'm going to run fast. The next 3 miles, I'm just going to run faster than I was. And I do it no problem. And if I'd listened to my brain, I would have quit. And that's what we do. People these days, it's so easy for us to quit now. Try something else. That's another thing I've noticed. Someone will try something for 2 months. I met a guy the other day at an open house. He was thinking of quitting after 2 years. He hasn't sold one. He hasn't had one transaction in 2 years. Wow. So I was chatting to him.
Is that normal? Is that something to be concerned about by like 2 years?
Yeah, I think that yes. It's not
okay. Yeah.
But he was. So I started chatting to him, and I said, "What are you doing to sell houses and stuff?" He's like, "Well, I've been door knocking for the last year." I'm like, okay, cool. How many doors have you knocked on in the last year? 500. 500? I do 500 a week. You're telling me 500? So
numbers game.
So so
Yeah.
he's basically done 500 doors in a year, which is what, 1.5 doors a day. And from that, he said that door knocking doesn't work. And that's what people do. They'll try something for 2 months, and they'll be like, oh, it doesn't work. But I'm like, man, you've got to try it for 6 months. You've got to try it for a year, and then it doesn't work. Or, I've got a mentor, Brian Seller, who's awesome. Or you'll follow one mentor for 2 months, and then you'll follow another one, and then another one. And before you know it, you've got all these ideas in your brain.
Yeah.
And you just like, it's just too much. So my advice is find one guy in your field that is successful and just copy him. That's what I'm doing. Like, it's not, I feel like a fraud sometimes. Just copy successful people.
It's like a mentor.
It's not hard.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I know if you're an actor, you can't just copy Daniel Day-Lewis. It's a lot harder than that, or a singer. But if you're in real estate or sales or something, just find someone who's successful and copy what they're doing. Yeah. And you will at least improve.
Yeah.
You might not be as successful as them, but you can't not improve because you're doing what they do. And so that's exactly what I'm doing.
And I think you're saying you use their framework of how they're doing it, because they've made it work, and then make that work for yourself.
Right.
Make that energy work.
Right. They've spent 5 years working out what works, what doesn't work, and now they're telling you what works. So do it.
Wow. And so, as far as the actual real estate market in LA, how do you find? Is it a hot market? What are the places? Where are the places to buy? Are people buying a lot of homes right now? How is the market overall?
Yeah, the market has obviously been great for like the last 5 years. House prices have been increasing 5, 6, 7, 8% every year, depending on where you live. Los Feliz, 10%. So it's been a seller's market for a long time. Now it's more neutral. You can get good deals. It's still great if you're a seller, but it's better now if you're a buyer. You can negotiate. Especially January, February, less people are buying because it's January, February, so less multiple offers, there's more room to negotiate. But Southern California is always such a strong market. In 2008, places like Vegas, Texas, Florida got hit hard. House prices literally slashed in half. And California got hit, but it kind of always bounces back. So, like I tell people, it's never ever a bad time to buy a house. If you can buy a house, put as much money away as you can, because if you can buy a house in 30 years' time, it's going to pay off in spades. You're going to have equity, you're going to have security. So yeah, I'm always for. And people always think, oh well, we need 20% down. Yeah. The house I want is $800,000. Who has $150,000 to put down on a house? And that's not true. You can put down as little as 3.5% on a house.
And then you've got the FHA loan.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And that's for everyone. It's not just first-time buyers.
Right.
So yes, your interest rates are a little bit higher the less you put down.
Yeah.
But if you have $30,000, you can maybe. A lot of first-time buyers have parental help, because who the hell has $100,000 just sitting in their bank?
Right.
So it's not as hard as if you're paying more than $2,000 a month on rent, you should look into buying a house, because it's definitely possible. Put the money in your pocket, build equity instead of putting it into some landlord's pocket.
Right.
So, yeah.
And do you, as far as the housing market overall, as far as the future of it, do you see people continuing an upward trend of buying homes? Where do you think things are going with the future of it?
Well, that's it. Everyone's always like, 5, 6, 7 years ago, the real estate agents are no longer going to exist. It's all going to be, companies selling houses online and this and that. I think there's certain jobs where you're always going to want a human being, I think. Real estate is one of them. It's your biggest asset. You want to be able to call, if you have a question, you want to be able to call a human being, I think, and you want to have them sitting next to you, explaining what's going on, negotiating. I always think there's going to be real estate agents. Yeah, in restaurants, waiters are going to become robots, probably, right? We're going to have robots coming down because they're just ordering food. But I think in your biggest, maybe surgery, there's going to be robots doing it, but I still think there's going to be people there overseeing it.
Well, hopefully.
Hopefully. I just don't, robots are going to become taxi drivers, robots are going to probably fly aeroplanes, but I still think there's going to, are we going to get on an airplane if it's just a robot flying it? I don't know.
Oh my God.
So, I always think there'll be a business for real estate agents, especially, people are always going to be buying houses.
Yeah.
Real estate is the fastest way to make money into buying houses because it's going to appreciate. If you put your money in, I read something the other day. The money in your bank will take 833 years to double. Right?
Wow.
If you put $100 in the bank, it'll take 833 years to have $200 because it's not the interest rate. It's a waste of time, right? If you put if you put $10,000 into the bank in 833 years, you'll have $20,000, right? But if you put $10,000 into, if you buy a $100,000 house in Vegas, you put 10 grand down, you get a mortgage, and then you rent that place out for $800 a month. You're making 10 grand a year in rental income, and then that $100,000 house every year is rising anywhere between 5 and 10%. So in 10 years, before you know it, you've made so much more money. That's why a lot of people want to save their money for a rainy day or for retirement. You should put your money to work because people who put their money to work get rich.
And real estate's the best.
Yeah, don't just have $300,000 sitting in your savings account. You're literally wasting it.
Smart.
Put it to work.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people will, when they don't have that liquid cash kind of available, they'll pull out of their 401k, and that's always like a debatable kind of thing you hear about. Is that something
it
that
is debatable?
Yeah.
If you listen to Grant Cardone, people like that, he'll say, take that fucking money out of your 401k and invest it into real estate. I don't necessarily... depends how much you got in there as well. If you've got 40... I did it. I bought my first rental property,
did?
yeah. Mm-hmm. If you've got $500,000 in your 401k, I wouldn't necessarily suggest putting that into a house because you're going to be making a lot of money on that. You're going to be making 5-6% on that $500,000 anyway. But if you've got 60 grand on your 401k, there's a lot of good reasons to draw that out and buy an investment property somewhere in Texas, Florida, Vegas, because you'll make more money on that rental property than your 401k. But then, you have to pay a slight fee when you withdraw your money and stuff. But I agree with what all these people say is put your money to work. I have a lot of friends who just have the money in the bank just in case they need it, and it's literally their hard-earned money is literally doing nothing for them.
Yeah.
Right.
So
pennies.
yeah, exactly. Like the rental property I bought in 2014, unbelievable. It's like made 50% profit on that, and I get every month. The rent on that is $1,200, and it cost me $70,000 down, and then with that property, with that $70,000, which was basically my 401k, I then so that was 5 years ago. I refinanced the Vegas house, which is then how I bought my house here in Vegas, in LA.
So you take that pot and then
So from that $70,000, buys me a house in Vegas that I draw rent on. Right, goes up 10% every year because Vegas property is hot right now. And then because of that, I created equity in the house. And then that equity, 80 grand, I took out of the Vegas house and bought a house in Long Beach. So that 70 grand has me over $1 million that 70 grand has been more than $1 million in real estate now.
Not enough people are doing this.
No,
they need to do it.
They don't realize $70,000 has created more than $1 million in real estate for me. And that was from my 401k.
But see, and I feel like social media, our new world with social media, is helping. It can help you broadcast things that people need to know about real estate. We used to not be able to do that.
No, people are scared. I have a friend, and he was scared to buy a house. He said, Matt, I've got all this money sitting. He had $200,000 sitting in his bank.
Yeah.
I won't say what his name is. I'm like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
You have 200 grand sitting in your bank doing nothing. Because he's been working, he was a child actor, he'd been working for a long time, and he had all this money, and he doesn't spend money, so he's got all this money. I'm like, why are you buying a house? He's like, I'm scared. Too scared to buy a house. What if the market goes down? At least if I have the money in my bank, I know it's safe. If I put it into a house, maybe I'll lose it. I'm like, man, you've got to go buy a house. 6 months later, he now has 3 houses.
Really?
Yeah.
He got so excited by doing it, he started realizing, so that $200,000, he put down 3 deposits on 3 different houses, and now he's got 3 houses, and he loves it. So a lot of it is like we were talking about earlier, fear. Our brains, fear is a
huge
fear
thing.
stops us from doing so many things.
Yeah.
Stops us from meeting people, dating, work, getting new jobs. Fear of quitting a job. Fear is literally our biggest rival, and if we can overcome fear, we can then do amazing things. And now he has 3 houses, and he's loving it. He doesn't have any money in the bank, but he doesn't care because he has all this real estate. And I'm telling you that nothing is like real estate in terms of building wealth.
It sounds like,
If Donald Trump can, no offense, if Donald Trump can do it, anyone can do it.
Yeah.
So,
If he can build $1 billion empire, why can't we?
well, and his dad also gave him
That's
$1 million
true.
to start.
That's
He like
true.
gets a gift, like,
That's true.
hey, here you go.
That's true.
Big factor.
Yeah.
For sure. I also, well, it seems, you're definitely, it's interesting to hear that more real estate agents, everybody's starting to do the online thing, they're going into digital, and it sounds like you're right on the front of the wave doing that with them.
I've started videos. You know what it's like. I'm really like, if I'm going through Facebook, even if there's a 3-sentence blurb, I'm not reading 3 sentences. I'm so lazy. It has to be one catchy sentence, to get me. But for a video, I will press play on a video, and before I know it, I'm 3 or 4 minutes into that video watching it because it's more compelling. We're all visual now. It's all more compelling.
Right.
So the way I see everything going now is video. So that's kind of what I'm focusing on.
Do you focus on, when it comes to video, from a personal perspective, that they get to know you as like, and then that way they're like, okay, I can trust him as my agent?
I think so, yeah, because in real estate especially, generally if you work with someone, you want to trust them and you want to know that they're an expert in their field and that they're actually doing something,
Right.
So when we watch people on camera, they instantly become, like, for example, my mentor guy, right? He's not famous. He's not, LeBron James, but I've watched hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of him on video. He went to do a talk, and I went and see him. And when he walked into the room, for me, it was like the Messiah walking in. I was like, oh my God, it's Brian Casella. No one knows who the guy is. He's not famous, but because I've been watching him so much, listening to him, and he's an expert, I was drawn to him, right? So when I'm doing videos, I want people to think, okay, Matt, first of all, he knows what he's talking about. Secondly, he seems approachable. Seems like I can talk to him. And thirdly, he's out there and he's doing stuff. So yeah, I think if you're in a business as an entrepreneur or your own business, you have to do videos because it's going to draw people. People are commenting on my YouTube thing. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. And it's like, wow, like it's one comment, but it's like, oh my word, there's some random. So that's why I'm doing videos, because I honestly think if people are watching my videos, if they don't know they might never see who I am, but if they watch me on camera, when they see you, they instantly think that they instantly want to work with you more.
Yeah.
And also when I have to pre-approve people and I send them pre-listing information before they see me to kind of show them what I have to offer. If I can get them to watch videos before I've even met them, when I walk into the room to see them, they're instantly going to feel as though they know me. So it's all about building rapport, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to instantly feel as though they know me because they've been watching my videos, and they're going to know more about me, and they're going to ask less questions, and hopefully I'll get them to sign the contract. So
we do that when our guests walk in. They're the Messiah, and we're like, it's it's the same thing. We feel like we know them. She hadn't met you. People that Louis, who we had last week, I hadn't met, but I'd seen stuff with film. So this is universal.
Exactly, it's for everything. That's why video. Yes, write blogs. If you like, a lot of people don't like going on camera. That's the problem we have at our office.
Yeah.
A lot of people they hate it. She's like, I hate my voice, the sound of my voice, the way I look. I pause. They're like, they just cannot do it. So yeah, if you can't do that, write blogs. I know Geoff has a great blog. Blogs work.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't like reading more than 2 minutes. So videos for me
the attention span, I think, of humans went down. I think it used to be 7 seconds.
It's
now
gone
we're
down.
almost- yeah.
I believe it.
Goldfish is at 6 seconds, and we're at 5, I think now. So we're actually less than.
We're more inept than a goldfish.
So post fast. That's why Twitter's such a success because it's these quick, like just shots of dopamine.
How many characters is it? Like 140 or something.
Yeah, 150.
And even that's a little long now.
I know, right? I need it.
And it's like Instagram stories, isn't that expanded now? So you can actually do longer. Before it was a minute.
Right.
A minute for me is plenty.
15 seconds, but you can expand.
So
outside of making and having goals and aspiring to hit a certain monetary wealth within, personally and for your company.
Yeah. Personally, I don't care about that. I love my company, but
you're like,
yeah.
What else kind of inspires you to continue within real estate? Because anyone can go into any field and be like, I'm just gonna make money and be the millionaire and
So what inspires? Well, first, what I love, like I said, I love real estate. There literally is no ceiling. So that's one reason why I love it. Secondly, I love houses. Like I used to just go in to do open houses, especially in Los Feliz where there's all these cool houses. I used to just go into open houses for fun, right? So then I started thinking, well, if I'm doing this for fun, everyone always says, if you can find a job that you love, it's not a job, right? Isn't that the quote? Something like that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be waking up every day going, oh, I'm going to work now. Right. And so I really do enjoy it. I enjoy the social media. I enjoy the hunt, like the competition. It's competitive. There's another guy in my office, which is great. He does the same thing as me. So there's a little bit of competition there.
Yeah.
There's the adrenaline you get when you're about to meet with someone. So I would like if someone's looking for a new career, like I said, the barrier to entry to get into real estate, all you have to do is pass an exam. But then less than 50% of people pass it the first time round.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, it's pretty difficult. But
I would hope so. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you would hope that, like.
And Southern California is such a great market for real estate. I don't know if I could be a real estate agent in Las Vegas, where houses are 150 grand. Call me greedy.
And you're based in Long Beach, right?
Based in Long Beach and and around the surrounding areas. But then I don't know Los Feliz and Silver Lake. I just did a transaction in Eagle Rock.
Oh yeah.
Just because I know the area. It's a bit of a trek up here, but.
That's gotten really big, that area.
Oh yeah.
And Los Angeles is always one of those like, do you enter the investment market in Los Angeles? And the minute like Highland Park, how much that blew up, and if you weren't in before, you're already behind.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the next spot in LA? I know Frogtown is kind of like
Boyle Heights.
Okay, yeah.
Montecito Heights, the one's just south of. Yeah, obviously Inglewood.
Inglewood, Rams. The Rams are moving.
Already seen Inglewood going crazy
Right.
within the last 3 years. They're building the #1 stadium in America. So house prices, $300,000 house in Inglewood 5 years ago is now $500,000, and I think it's going to go. I think it's going to go even crazier. And rent is going through because they're bringing in shops and restaurants and bars. It's gentrifying. Yeah, I think if you're looking for a deal, if you're willing to live in an area that isn't quite up to speed yet, but in 5 years' time it will be, I'd go Boyle Heights, Montecito Heights, Inglewood. It's hard now. The fact that Los Feliz, look at Venice. I used to love watching Cops growing up on TV. Bad boy, that one. And it was always Venice.
Yeah,
they were always in Venice. Venice is now, for square footage, the most expensive place in California. Yeah. More expensive than Beverly Hills, more expensive than Los Feliz.
Yeah.
And, it's taken 15 years to go from one of the crappiest places in LA to the pinnacle, right? And that's what's going to happen with Los Feliz. That's what's going to happen with Highland Park. And I think,
the wave of it kind of places go down, and then they come up back, and then
so you can still find deals out there. They're less and less, but you can definitely still find deals. And Long Beach, I moved down to Long Beach, like in that area. It's just way more affordable.
Right.
A final question just that I had that I wonder if anybody in real estate ever talks about this, but I find it interesting just overall the housing suburbia and how it's set up and how things work with houses. We're a little bit behind as far as how we think about the layouts of houses, I'm just curious, and you might not know the answer to this, but with iPhones and just everything we can do with tech and with apps and with all of that, we've kind of got it with apps. They're developing, I don't know, there's apps that connect to your alarm system, and there's apps that connect to various things, but in the future, we could have suburbia with houses, and there could be like a mutual kitchen somewhere, and something like you have an app, and you click in what food you want, and it comes from that kitchen to your door.
Well, isn't that kind of, I don't know, that's...
Sounds like Wall-E.
Kind of. I was at CES earlier this year, and literally within a year, Domino's the cars aren't having any drivers.
Right.
You literally put in your order.
Right.
They drive up. You put your key. You in your email. You get a key code. You put it in. The window goes down, and like a robot gives you your pizza. So I don't know. In terms of like what you're saying,
all that's going to go.
With kitchens,
Yeah.
I don't know. You're thinking a little bit too ahead of where I can even get my brain.
Yeah.
But maybe
it's the flying cars and the Jetsons.
That's right. That's right.
Like, I want my. Well, they have those refrigerators now. all the high end LG refrigerators.
Yeah.
You can. It has a camera inside, and it'll. There's an app that you download, like an LG appliance, and it'll tell you what what you need to buy.
Oh, really? A reminder and stuff.
I need
that.
It's just cameras too. You said cameras. Where people will have cameras set up where crime will go down because you'll have.
In where I live, 8 out of 10 doors I knock on have the Ring.
Right, yeah.
The one that was on the biggest blunder of Shark Tank ever, the one they didn't invest in.
Yeah.
Now he's
that's right.
billionaire through it. Yeah, Ring.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. But there's a lot of stuff now. Like, they're just everything's visual. It's going. Housing's improving a lot in terms of security.
It'll be interesting to see how that evolves. I guess over time, what happens with housing and how that changes. But
as long as it raises the prices of houses, that's great for me. As long as people are always going to be buying and selling houses, right? Yeah. So in terms of we're always scared now of jobs that are going to disappear when technology improves. Should I be looking to get a job here because this job might no longer exist in 10 years because it's going to be robots, right? Everyone's like, you should go into tech because there's always going to be tech. I think there's always going to be real estate agents. Yeah. Things like purple bricks are coming in where it's more, less personal. There's always going to be people trying to dethrone us, but I always think it's going to be a job people are always going to be buying and selling houses, and people are always going to want the personal touch of someone, a human job.
Yeah.
So I'm.
That and tattoo artist, I guess, right?
Tattoo artist. I don't know. Who knows?
You want a robot to do your tattoo?
Maybe. They'll just less error. So I don't know. I don't have any tattoos. I've always wanted tattoos. I look at your tattoo and I love it. I just feel as though I'm 40 next year. I feel like you get to a certain age and people are going to think I'm having a midlife crisis. If I get a
that's
tattoo.
when you have the Porsche and
Because I've always wanted a tattoo. There's some word every day. It's like you need consistency. For me, is the most important word for an entrepreneur. Right? When you're starting a business, anyone can be excited for 3 months and doing it, but then you start to slow down a little bit. So I think to be successful, consistency is the main word. So I was like, maybe I'll get these cool words on I don't know, but then I'd look stupid, and so.
But you know what? It becomes so cliche, but the brand of the British Bloke, it stands out. You've got videos you're posting.
Yeah.
You're in it. Clearly, people are drawn to you naturally, and we'll be curious to see where everything goes.
Yeah, I walk down my street. I walk down my street sometimes, and people will down their window and go, British Bloke.
Really?
I'm like, cool.
Like you're walking around.
I do have a name, but that's okay.
Yeah, they don't know. They have no idea what my name is. Yeah. But that's fine.
But as long as they know the brand name.
Yeah, as long as they know the British Bloke, they don't need to know my name.
Front of the wave.
I posted a video the other day saying I'm English, not Australian.
Yeah.
Right, I just posted it. I walked into the office 2 days later. Everyone's like, hello, Australian guy. Hello, Irish guy.
Irish guy.
Yeah. And it's just because they've been, and they're like, we watched the entire, we know exactly what you're saying, but we watched the entire video. Because if you can draw them in, So yeah, I think I'm enjoying doing it anyway.
Your video about doors was also clever. About the front door says everything about so much about the house.
It
right?
does. Like, you know, when you're walking into a house that you're going to potentially buy, if you can walk in it with a smile, you're already excited. If you walk into a house that's got bars and chains on the doors, and you're like, oh shit, where am I going? You're instantly, you know, it's all emotional buying a house. So I like bright colours: greens, yellows, reds, blues.
Yeah, for sure.
Red door's my favorite.
Yeah, I got a red door.
Yeah.
Makes a nice.
I feel like it's like a nice, bold, like, eye-catching.
Yeah, you're like, hell, I want to walk up to that door.
Yeah.
And like a lot of the doors, a lot of people I speak to, they're like, well, when you door knock, do you knock on the no soliciting doors? Because everyone has no soliciting.
Oh, right.
And guess what? I knock on those doors. And you know what? My best conversations, and the house I just listed last week had no soliciting right by the door. And guess what? I knocked on that door, and
you go right for them.
Yeah. And if they say, oh, no solicitors, I just say, I'm not selling anything, and if I'm going to sell anything, I'm going to sell your house, and you'll be happy, right? And they're like, oh, okay, yeah. So I've never had my mentor's had a gun pulled on him a few times.
No way.
Yeah. He door knocks in Whittier and places like West Covina. He said he's had a gun pulled on him 3 times. Cops called on him. Cops called on him several times. I've had none of that yet.
You just come to the door with a shotgun?
I don't know, they open the door and they must just have it closed, and he doesn't leave. It's dark. He said it always happened like in November, where it's dark at 5:30.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that.
Who the hell are you?
I'm hoping that doesn't happen.
Well, especially in this day and age where we're so silent, we stay inside our homes.
Right,
We don't talk to our neighbors, and we're very in our own 4 walls. If someone knocks on your door, you're like, oh my god, who is that?
It's hilarious. I see them looking out the door. I'm like, hi, and they'll just stare at me. They're like, if I don't move, you won't see me.
Right,
and I'm like, I can see you.
We're social beings. We're allowed to talk to one another.
Yeah. So kids are actually the worst to speak. They open the door and they'll be like, oh, what are you doing?
like who's this guy?
Yeah, like when the door opens and it's like a 10 to 15-year-old, that's when I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get shit now. They're like, no, who are you? No, we're not. They're my
I think
biggest.
you're like trick or treating.
Yeah, they're my biggest problem.
The British people are gonna be the British bloke for Halloween one day. Like
that'd be cool.
Like it's gonna
whatever that'll entail.
I mean,
well, if 13-year-olds are your biggest problems, I have to say you must be like doing quite well.
Yeah,
so,
doing all right.
True.
Yeah.
Truly.
So no, so it's good. I actually have a friend now. You know, Autumn.
Yeah.
He's gonna give it a whirl. Up in Oregon.
He's gonna do it.
Yeah, he's gonna go for the life. I was talking to him about it, and he was the same as me. You know, no job. All of a sudden, what am I going to do? So I really recommend anyone who's wanting to build a business and work for themselves. It's a real great way to get in.
Yeah.
Like, don't look at it as you're a real estate agent. Look at it as your business. But you have your own business.
Right.
Real estate is what you're selling. That's just part of what you're selling. But in terms of a business and just what you put into it, is just limitless, really. So
it gives you a frame to build your business
exactly.
around.
Yeah, you have guidelines, and you get a mentor. You know, I went and interviewed at lots of different potential companies. First Team for me by far they take more commission. A lot of people don't go with First Team because they take more commission in the first year. They take 50%.
Oh wow!
In the first year of what you earn. Others take 30% up to 25 grand limit, right? But First Team is the best marketing, best education. For me, it's the best company, which is why I went with them. And I felt like they were interviewing me to see if I was good for them, whilst every other company was like, just come on in. We don't need to interview you. If you want to work here, work here.
Right. Here's your business cards. Well,
yeah. Because the average agent, from starting, quits within less than 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's a hard business to get rolling, and that's why you need that dedication. Like any business, but you need that dedication, you need that commitment. And the
Commitment.
Yeah, and the consistency and the commitments and all that,
Pushing it to the red zone.
Yeah.
Like, I feel uncomfortable, but I'm going to push it even more to get, beyond
you really have
that.
to. Like Grant Cardone always says, 10x it, right? Take massive action, you get massive results.
Yeah.
So,
thanks for coming on here today. And if people, it's Matt Tilley, First Team Real Estate, the British Bloke. If people want to get in touch with you, you're on Instagram and Facebook.
Or they can email me, matt@thebritishbloke.com.
Easy.
Yes.
Yes.
Amazing. Future of real estate Matt Tilley, the British Bloke.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you so much, Matt.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
It's nice to come up to Los Feliz again. I used to live up here, so it's nice to come up to my old hood and enjoy it.
All right.
So, Geoff, what's on the next agenda for launch?
Well, next week, we're going to take a couple weeks off here for the holidays, but we will be returning in early January, and our next guest is going to be the amazing Taryn Southern, who is an incredible person that I've known for a long time. She has a video out, I Am AI, where you've got to see this video. I'll preview it in the next couple of weeks. Everything she's doing is involved in artificial intelligence and virtual reality and the tech world, and she's a genius in that whole realm. And Kira and I are going to be just chatting it up with her.
So excited. That's going to be, it's going to be a very long, we're going to be like dumping all kinds of questions
So
on
what
her.
you're saying is it sounds a lot more exciting than this podcast.
No, I actually...
Technology, AI, virtual reality.
Well,
I'm talking
obviously
about
that's why he
houses.
was asking those questions of like, when can I get the food just delivered into my mouth in
Yeah.
my house?
Sorry,
Nothing beats the British Bloke.
that's a question you need to ask her. I'm sorry I couldn't answer that question.
No.
I'm sure
I mean-
she'll be very good at answering those ones.
She might. We'll see how that goes. It'll be interesting, but yes, that is our next podcast. So,
Yeah, have a happy and safe holiday.
happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas.
Happy Christmas
Okay.
if you're English.
Yes.
Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
Yes, that's right. Happy Christmas. With that, we're signing off.
Launch Radio, Geoff and Kira. We will see you guys in a couple weeks.
Bye, guys.